Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 93 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast discussing finding off-market deals. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured members in our Discord community. Question from Ivy. Can you talk about some of the pros and cons with owner financing for your land purchases?
Yeah, really good question. We get a lot of people who come in with different backgrounds and maybe they've heard about owner financing and just see it as a cash flow thing. The pro is you can have really good cash flow. If you build this up quite a bit, you can easily cash flow, excuse me, 10, 15, $20,000 a month in this. The main con is it is like having tenants. Like it's not buying and selling, it's not flipping, it's not as easy. You're going to run into huge issues with people who stop paying and then you have to get them off your land essentially, and they're going to fight it sometimes. There's just a lot of different things. A lot of people just look at like, I'm just selling this on terms, and I'm going to profit whatever $5,000-$10,000 per month when I have 50 properties or something like that. It can be a huge headache. We've done it some, but it is a completely different business model in mine and Daniel's minds than flipping land. It's just a lot more systems that you have to deal with in terms of managing tenants, essentially managing those notes that you have on the properties. And it can be really time consuming. And there's a lot of effort into that. I'd be interested to get your perspective on this though, Dan.
No, I have the same exact perspective. It's just I wouldn't say it's a whole nother business model. It is a different business model. The cash comes in a different way. It does diversify you a little bit. So if you're familiar with it and want to go and find it less risky, or you see the other advantages in it, it's great, go for it. But you are just managing tenants at the end of the day. And that can be it. So you have to hire more staff. It's more operations, more overhead. Land investing as a whole is already a decent amount of operational work, Ron, between buying and selling the land. Like you start adding things like owner financing, it gets really heavy operationally. But that's all I have. Let's get into the show, Ron. Finding off-market deals. I split this up into three segments. So we have why it's so valuable to find off-market deals, Ron. And then we're going to get into the next segment, how we find off-market deals. And then the last segment is how other people do it. So alternative ways to find off-market deals. So stay for the end. There's going to be a lot of good, valuable information in these three segments. But Ron, let's get into why it's so important to find off-market deals. Why is it so valuable for someone?
So I kind of want to look at it in two different perspectives, Dan. Like you have the value in us finding off-market deals, which is obviously there's a ton of value, but you also have value from a seller's perspective. Like there is a ton of value for them selling off-market opposed to selling on the market. But for us personally, the main thing, number one, is you are going to get a huge discount typically. You're going to be competing with very few other people for that property, if anyone at all, which a lot of times is our case. But it's such a big advantage when you can buy, like if you're buying a rental property or something like that, you might be able to buy it at 80% of market value, which is huge. If you're buying $1 million property, to be able to buy it at 800 grand or whatever. And in our instances with land, like we can buy at 40%, 45%. And there's very few people we're competing with. So that is the number one for me, Dan. I'm sure it's the same for you, is you can buy at a tremendous discount.
Absolutely. And along with that, Ron, is you're not dealing with any realtors on that end. It's a very quick process. You keep it very simple. You're not dealing with crazy contracts or anything with different realtors. You literally have a simple contract, get it into title and buy it. It's just a lot easier of a process from my personal experience.
Yeah, we've done real estate, real properties. Done commercial properties off market, as well as obviously land off market, which being our primary source, or our primary deal currently. And it's just the doing it with a realtor versus without a realtor, like it is a tremendous amount different. Even if you're just working with like a wholesaler who's not a realtor or something like that, it is so much easier than dealing with all the red tape that realtors have to go through to sell properties, make sure all the contracts are legal. And it just is a lot more time consuming. I think it feels like less of a win for the seller a lot of times because there's a realtor in there. So those off market deals without a realtor, I love them because you don't have to deal with all that red tape, and it's just you. There's no middleman. It's you and the seller, and you talk with them, you negotiate with them, and then you find a way to make it happen for them.
Exactly. And going to the sellers, I mean, the main reason, Ron, why a seller would want to sell to someone off market is because they need the cash. They need it soon. Typically, especially on the house side, they need the cash. They want it soon. You're creating a very quick and easy, seamless process for the sellers. Like you said, there's no realtors. You're not listing it up. You're not having showings all the time, waiting for offers to come in, negotiating with sellers, negotiating with two realtors in it now. Not only one realtor, now there's two because the buyer brought one and the seller has one. And then there's so much negotiation that goes on. It's for a quick, easy, and seamless process, is what I see the value for, Ron.
Yeah, and a lot of people who end up selling their property off market never had intention of selling their property, or maybe they thought about it, but they're like, I'm not going to call a realtor. I don't want to deal with this. And then they get a letter from an investor, and or whatever it is, phone call, text from an investor, and they're like, wow, I could get this much money for it. Let's talk a little bit, and then you come up to a deal. And a lot of times, these people, like I said, never intended to sell their property in the first place or prior to getting that letter or that notification from you, and then they end up selling it for whatever 80% of market value, and you save them a ton of money on the realtor fees as well. There are a lot of fees that come in with selling a property on the market. They don't have to deal with nearly hardly any of those in these situations.
Exactly. Exactly. The fees is really big because there's no commissions. Like if you sell a house, it always comes off for you all who don't know, it comes off of the seller side. So if you sell $100,000 house and have whatever 5% commission, whatever your commission is, that's $5,000, and then that goes to the your realtor and the other one, and they split that 25, generally 25 and 2500. So not having that or any other expenses, like for our business, which we'll get into more later on, we're eating 100% of the cost that incur during title search, closing fees, closing docs. We're eating all of that. That's on our side. That's part of our selling proposition. But we'll get into more of that. Do you have any last things, Ron, with why finding off market deals is so valuable to sellers and or buyers?
No, I think the main thing is just like for buyers, without a doubt, the main thing is money. It's really on both sides, money. The seller is saving money by not paying for a realtor. They're getting it faster, and then a buyer is getting the property at a discount. They're not competing with hundreds of other people or whatever it would be if it was on the market. So that money, I think, in the end run is the main advantage on both sides, actually.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into segment two, Ron. How do we find off market deals? So what we do, guys, we're a land investment firm, so we're buying and selling land, and we buy off market. 100% of our deals so far, I believe, Ron, have been off market. So that's what we're doing. How do we find off market deals in our business model, Ron?
So what we do, like Daniel said, it's 100% land that we're trying to source. We send a ton of direct mail. We send about 20,000 pieces of direct mail every single month to vacant land owners. So people who own vacant land, and not necessarily, they're not motivated to sell necessarily, but if we send 20,000 mailers a month, we're going to get about 8 to 12 deals every single month. Our goal with land, it's different than houses, different than rental properties. We can buy land at about 40 to 50% of market value. So our goal is to send this direct mail, and we actually price the mail. So these sellers are getting, these potential sellers are getting mail with a price, like an offer price that we're offering them. So we try to buy at 40 to 50, maybe 55% of market value. And like I said, for 20,000 mailers, we'll get about 8 to 12 deals a month. And we can make anywhere from typically $18,000 to $25,000 per deal.
And for land, Run, are we looking really at any alternative? Because obviously, we say for every mail we send out, which is around 60 cents, give or take a little bit, for every mailer we send out, we get about $6 of profit back. It used to be in $5. We reanalyzed it. It's about $6 of profit back. And if you're looking at the whole overall sales, it's over, $12 or so. So we're getting $6 of profit back for every 60 cents we give out. So we get that question all the time. What are some other ways? And this came up in the call last Wednesday on our webinar, Ron, on our free webinar. Someone asked about texting. And I told them, I broke down the numbers. For every 60 cents we send out, we get $6 of profit back. And we have that data and all this data to back that up. It's not like our deal flow is drying up by any means, Ron. So although we are looking at other methods to help enhance our business, it's not like a struggle for us because this has been so effective. Our returns are getting, if not better, in the last 12 months, I'd say, Ron, than they were previously. So I just don't see it as like I don't know. So many people are looking at other ways to do it, but it's working so well what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear so many different things. I have people ask me, why don't we try to find on market deals? Like for the reasons we explained in the first segment, that's why we don't find on market deals, because we don't want to compete with all these other buyers. We're trying to buy at a premium or buy very cheap, sorry, at a huge discount. Texting, emails, cold calling, all that stuff will get you deals. Don't get me wrong. If you're committed to that, and I respect people who are cold calling, I really, really do. You're not going to hit nearly as many people per day, per week, per month as I do with mail, but I really respect the grind of cold calling. It is a cheaper alternative to mail without a doubt. But the deals you're going to get, it's going to take you a lot longer to build up to where other people are who are sending mail, because the effectiveness of mail currently is just it's the data is just so clear to us. We've sent 200,000 mailers in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 months, something in there. And it's just so clear the data to us with everything else we've tried that mail is just far superior at the moment.
So we've sent 200,000 different mailers in the last 8 months, let's just call it. Imagine trying to reach those people through other methods like cold calling. So that kind of eliminates right off the bat the effectiveness of cold calling is just more overhead, more management. Even if you outsource it, there's still more management on it rather than just pricing mail effectively like we do, sending it out. That's 200,000 letters in the United States in very targeted areas. They're getting an offer with a very targeted price. It's extremely, extremely effective when you think of it that way, Ron, versus calling 200,000 people, which also is a way to do it. But we're going to get in that. I think this is a good transition actually into the next segment, Ron, how other people do it and what are some alternative ways to acquire off market deals. Because I was going to get into texting and email and all the other ways, Ron, but we might as well get into the next segment with that.
Yeah, I think with this next segment, let's talk more about real estate as a whole opposed to land, because I think that's where these other segments are much more competitive. Like buying a multifamily off market is a lot more competitive than buying a piece of land off market because so few people are in the land game right now. But with that saying, like, you need drip campaigns for this. You need to use all different methods when you're trying to find real estate off market in terms of commercial properties, whatever it is. You need different ways to do it. Um, I'm not the most versed in it by any means, but I have acquired commercial properties off the market, rental properties off the market, stuff like that. You need drip campaigns. I think cold calling is extremely effective for this, Daniel, where for that initial call, and then you can put them into some drip campaign where it's email or mail or something like that. But those are kind of the ways that I see. I think email is really big right now. I think texting is really big. And then obviously mail. A lot more people use postcards in the real estate, the other types of real estate than us. But that I think those are the main ones.
Yeah, the postcards are really big for people acquiring properties in cities, Ron. That's probably one of the biggest ones. You always hear the terms, if you guys are in real estate or heard, you hear driving for dollars, where people are literally driving around, writing down addresses, going back, calling them, whatever that situation looks like. But the problem with that, and that is kind of effective, but it's just so much time that's taken out of your day to see a couple properties. I'd rather just use data online personally and use these other methods like cold calling, email, texting, or postcards and just blast it out. And maybe you pick an area, Ron, in say Cincinnati, Ohio, 45242. You pick a little zip code, you pick anything there, 2 to 4 units. You can get all this data online, 2 to 4 units, and you send out a postcard. You get responses, and then you send out emails or text campaigns. These methods are extremely effective for land. It gets the or for structures and properties, Ron, and it gets the conversations going. Yeah, you might not get a 40, 50% discount, but you can still acquire property 70, 80% of market value, which is extremely effective, especially when you're talking about residential houses, multifamilies, commercial properties. You can do this with anything. If you just get a hold of business owners, people who own properties or people who own rentals, whatever that is, you can get the conversation going and you can get it for a discount simply because they understand the value of quick closing and all the things we discussed above.
Yeah, I think with non-land, which is what we're talking about obviously right now, it's more important to find motivated people than to find people who are willing to sell. You're not going to buy real property, physical assets for 40% of market value. You're just not going to find a commercial warehouse that's worth $2 million that you're going to buy for 800 grand or something like that. Maybe that's a once in a lifetime deal or something like that. But you need to be able to find those people who are motivated, where maybe you can talk them down to 1.7 million, something like that. And opposed to in land where we're trying to find people who just like really need the money next 10 days, next 2 weeks, whatever it is. Um, just find people who are ready to part with their properties. I think that is the most important thing. And like Daniel said, get the conversation going so you can build that relationship. The relationship is huge because you're not going to be the only person talking to them if you're trying to buy a rental property or multifamily property or something like that. So you need to build that relationship, gauge their interests, feel their motivation. Don't try to force deals that aren't going to happen, and just hit as many people as possible.
Also, there are realtors too that have off-market deals a lot of times, and they'll bring it to they have realtors' jobs are to network in cities and get to know as many people as possible because everyone at some point, not everyone, but majority of people at some point are going to own houses that are going to need to buy and sell houses at some point. So realtors' job is to network. When they're networking like that, eventually there's going to be times, and it happens a lot, where people come to them and they need to sell their property quick and they don't have time. Hey, what's the quick, like, how can I sell this property in 3 weeks? I need this money, whatever their situation is. I'm moving in another house. I'm moving cities. How can I sell this in 3 weeks? Well, a realtor looks at that and say, there's not an option to put this on the market and wait for all that. So let me reach out to my investors to see if anyone's interested. That happens a lot. I see a lot of people posting their off-market deals on different social media. So getting to network with realtors too, Ron, even if you're looking for off-market deals. We had a realtor in, I can't remember what state it was, but they sent us a whole portfolio of all their off-market current deals, and they're trying to flip those very quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Having those relationships with realtors, wholesalers as well, Daniel, because there's wholesalers who they need a buyer's list because wholesalers aren't buying the property like we are. They are trying to flip the property. They're under contract to buy it. They need to find an end buyer. So having relationships with those people, I think that's the best way to scale, to be 100% honest. Let them be the experts in sourcing the deals and all that. And all you got to do is build relationships with them, provide the money when the deals come, be able to evaluate the deals quickly, and then move quickly and stay by your word. Because if you screw them over, or if you like say you're interested in something, you're going to buy something and you back out, they're going to probably be blacklist you. So I do 100%, Dan. Those relationships are much more important when you're trying to buy rental properties, commercial properties, whatever it is, off market opposed to land.
Exactly. And there's only so much money out there. I mean, if someone needs to flip something quick and they know you're ready to go and you're an investor and you like good deals and they send you a deal and you can buy it, there's value on both sides. It's not just valuable for the wholesaler. You're providing them money to buy the property, which is extremely valuable. I talked to a guy actually months ago who he was a real estate investor. He owned a bunch of multifamily and commercial properties, really, really big, thousands and thousands of units. And I was telling him about sometimes our struggles to find good, low market rent properties. And we're struggling to find certain properties that we're looking for. And it's just always a struggle hunting them and finding them. And he just couldn't understand that because he has so many people bringing him deals, emailing him deals, realtors calling him with deals. He's just done it for so long. He has all these connections. He literally had to you could see it when I was talking to him. He's like rewiring his brain to understand my situation, how I don't own thousands and thousands of doors. We have a rental business, but we do a lot of other stuff too, and we have a land business. So, and he was also like 55 and has done this for 30 years and just had so many relationships of people just bringing him deals. And I was like, wow, that's such an incredible thing to have. Just people calling him, texting him deals all the time. And he gets really, really good deals that fall his way just from knowing so many people.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. After 30 years and building those relationships, I think the relationships, Dan, almost compound with him. So he's been in this game for so long and he's getting all these deals brought to him. And that's just him being honest with relationships, following through with these deals when he has them come, and probably moves really, really quick. I don't know his full background, but that's really like to have no issue finding deals and to have people just bringing deals. And you have a team of people essentially that you aren't paying, you're just getting deals from them and they're profiting or whatever off the deals if it's wholesalers or whatever. And like it's essentially a team that he has that are just working for him for really no money really out of his pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. These relationships, you start getting these soldiers and boots on the ground with all these different realtors, other investors, deals start coming your way. And then all of a sudden you have thousands of people or hundreds of people that are working for you. I don't like to put it that way because it is a win-win because you're buying the deal, they're making money, you're making money. but they're on the ground looking for these deals. You're not putting in that work. You're literally providing the money and reviewing these deals that they bring. But that kind of wraps it up, Ron. I guess so. The main ways postcards that I see for acquiring structures, Ron, postcards, texting, emailing, cold calling, using wholesalers and realtors and other local boots on the ground sources.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think this was really good. I like that. And you guys can kind of see how we do it in our land business versus how we see other people do it and how we've done it with rental properties, with commercial properties. And there is without a doubt a difference with how we approach our land business versus if we were trying to get multifamilies. But I think it's a really good comparison there.
Absolutely. Well, we can wrap it up from here. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. To get started and to unlock your potential freedom, visit landinvestingonline.com, where Ron and I are involved in our free Discord. Please like and subscribe this Discord or this Apple Podcast, YouTube channel, Spotify, whatever you guys are listening on. It really means a lot to Ron and I. Other than that, thanks for joining. We'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, guys.